need to create a link. I can. Okay. For whatever reason, apparently it's not working. That's so weird. Okay, so we're going to try this. Oh, wait. Ads. So I think there we go. Okay, finally. Yay. Hello. Hi. I have never had that happen where it's taken that long, like 2.5 minutes. What on earth?
Oh, fuck. I was like, it's still not coming up for me, and then it very
And then of course it did. Okay, hi everybody. So as I was trying to say in the 2.5 minutes before it finally decided to go live, I got sick and lost my voice, and now it's somewhat back, but not entirely. So, the universe just like didn't want this to happen. No, it's
Wait,
fine.
but so even if it just showed up on YouTube, does that mean they're seeing the beginning of us talking, or are they
I
caught
don't
up to
think
where we are
so.
now?
I think it just caught up to where we were at. I don't know. Let us know, everybody. Hello. Hi. Hi, Kartik. Thank you for joining, channel members. Yay. That's exciting. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Urza. Hi, Renee. So bear with me. Hi, me. Hi, Jersey. So I'm glad we are finally live. Hello. Hi, Priscilla. 3 a.m. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, welcome. Hey, Beth. I'm glad we could finally do this. With my voice, I don't know how long it's going to last, but I do have tea, and we'll see. So we're going to talk about Confessor. And this is our last, like,
I can talk.
That's true. Good thing I have you with me. It's our last full-length book.
I was thought you were going to say it's our last Sword of Truth book, and I was like, oh, you don't want to read
No.
Dead of Bones?
We're still reading Dead of Bones. We're still reading Dead of Bones. But it's the last full-length one.
It's also not just the last full-length one, but it's like the last one in this story arc.
Jigang is finally... Took long enough.
Fucking finally. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, at long last, finally. It's just like, finally.
Yeah. It's like he was alive for far too long.
Because it like the threat of that overstays is welcome. Like if you build something up over time, then like you're like, oh, it's still not. Oh, finally that we've like overcome this evil. But if you go too far past that, we're like, okay, are we still doing this?
Like, why is this still the big bad? Yeah. I mean, that was definitely how I felt. So we'll see how much I can remember, because I read this a while ago now, because
I read it later than you, but it's already a while ago for me now too.
Yeah. So
clearly it was a memorable book. So the book that I read today, I will remember for the rest of my life, but Confessor, I immediately forgot.
I remember, like, I enjoyed it when I was reading it. It was a lot, for me at least, it was a lot better than the last book.
Well, I think I told you I was reading it around the same time that I was reading Wisdom of Crowds.
Yes.
So
by comparison, it might have suffered.
And I mean, I don't think Confessor measured up to almost anything would look too great, but certainly not Wisdom of Crowds.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. I feel like Terry Goodkind discovered rugby while writing this book.
It was funny reading this like right around World Cup time.
Yeah. I can see that.
Jala de Jin, the game of life. Sounds like World Cup soccer to me.
Yeah. Oh, the ending annoyed. Interesting. At least it's short.
Well, the ending of this annoyed me, so yeah, it's par for the course.
Okay. Yeah, Priscilla, same. I was relieved it was better than the last few books also.
At the same time, it was worse to me because like I agree with you that it's better, but I also disagree because like the other two, I think I like Chainfire best, and then I really didn't like the second one, whatever that was called, Phantom. Yeah. And then this one, well, I would say it's better than Phantom. it was more disappointing than Phantom because this was also the conclusion of what the of the others were setting up. So not only was it not much better as a book, it also like didn't really stick the landing for me either, which is like worse than a mid trilogy, like middle book syndrome type book where you're like, well, but this is just getting us from A to B, so whatever. But this is the final book, so it's like the stakes are higher, not just for the characters and narrative, but the stakes are higher for the author to like stick that landing, and I don't think it did. So I was like, after 10 books, sir. That too, Wisdom of Crowds is the end of a 10-book arc. This is the end of a 10-book arc. And I was like,
I just think you can't compare the two at all. But
no, but it's like if I ever think to myself like, well, that's a lot, you know, to end a 10-book arc, especially if you weren't necessarily planning on doing 10 books, and then only the last 3 were part of a cohesive trilogy. And I was like, that's literally the situation of Wisdom of Crowds. You didn't plan this to be a 10-book arc. The last 3 were a cohesive trilogy of this 10-book arc. That's literally the exact same position in a series that Confessor holds. And I was like, well.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember like what even exactly happened at the end because it's now been so long and it was clearly
Are
not that
we just
memorable.
going right into spoilers? Because I'll tell you what
Yeah, it's
happened.
I think it's fine. Priscilla, same. I also kind of tuned out all the game stuff. There was a lot of it.
Also, I it was like Richard will survive, so who cares?
Of course. Yeah, I liked Richard starting the riot too. I thought that was kind of interesting. Oof. Yeah, I didn't like
Yeah, I
that
mean
too.
that because like we talked about this before in the last 2 lives about how the thing of people forgetting Kaylin, you could have explored so much with that. You could have done so much with that
Yeah.
about how different the world is. But like the only ways the world really changed or were shown to us to have changed were when they directly affected the plot. And we conveniently were like, oh, but the world is different now because of the chain fire thing. And you're like, yeah, but like so much would be different. It would be
Yeah.
cool to explore that. And we're not really doing that.
No, not really. I feel like things are coming back to me.
I mean, okay, there was one highlight of this book that
I'm
delighted
glad
me
you loved it,
extremely.
Jessica. Did it end happily ever after?
Basically. But
Basically,
there
of
was
course.
one part of this book that actually delighted me.
Okay, tell me.
Gretch.
Yes! I mean, it made me
I was like,
happy
well,
that,
okay.
like and the egg.
Yeah, we didn't get to see Scarlet, but we
we
got to see
no,
her
but we
kid.
got her egg. I liked that too. That
He's
was
not an egg. He's a dragon.
well, now, but he was the former egg, now the
Well,
dragon.
you're a former egg.
I am, as are we all.
I'm gonna refer to you as the egg from now on. Your mother will appreciate that.
Oh yeah, totally. Um, yeah, I mean, yes, he is not above absurd plot twist. That is accurate.
I just like I expect kind of
Yeah,
like contrived ways for our characters to be the exception to the rule, or contrived ways for what seems like a dire situation to be like, ah, but this obscure unknown loophole of birth or magic or whatever makes us get out of this. Like I am used to that in these
right.
books, and to some degree like I expect it, anticipate it, and that can sometimes be the charm of it because you're like, well, this seems impossible, so what trick are they going to pull to get out of it? I'm not worried that they're going to get out of it, but I'm like curious to see, okay, but how are they going to get out of it? What loophole is it going to be? But I don't know, see the way that this 10-book arc is wrapped up with just like the very last bit of this like was so rushed, and it was just like a litany of like loophole, you know, loophole, exception, I'm special, we don't have to do that, we're just the best, we're cooler than that, we're above that, we're all of the exceptions, all of the diatribes, all of the
Mhm.
monologuing, and we're done. And I was just like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Um, yeah,
I like Pillars
I
of
mean,
Creation.
yeah, I mean,
That's like
yeah,
the last book I liked.
I mean, honestly, yeah, kind of same. Um, I don't. Yeah, okay. Spoilers. You do it. I'll drink some tea.
Oh
Like
man.
tell let's like do
Okay,
like
what
a
all did
recap
happen? I
because
mean,
if I
the
couldn't even
big
remember
thing.
everything. Like I remember like the main thing I remember is the whole thing about like they were worried that if Kaylin knew anything, she wouldn't be able to love Richard.
Yeah,
Except it
they're
was
like, we
okay.
would be able to use Orden to reverse Chainfire, but the one
Right,
person that wouldn't be reversed by the reversal of Chainfire would be Kaylin if she knew ahead of time that she loved Richard, because she
right.
needed to be like tabula rasa. and if like she had already started to have memories of this person with the like, I guess I'm told I love him thing, then it won't work. Which like
Right.
I already was like, why does this have to be a thing? This is such a dumb thing. And then it's only there so they can prove to us how extra they love each other, because like, nope, even though that's definitely a rule in Chainfire and definitely a thing that should affect Chainfire, they just love each other so much that she fell in love with him all over again, even like after forgetting everything. So
Their love conquers all.
oh my god, like we had love conquers all in Wizard's First Rule. Are we really doing it again?
Of course.
Especially when like, I don't know, like the build up to it, I don't know, it made more sense in Wizard's First Rule, the way that like, I don't know, love conquering all felt like it fit with what else was going on, you know? Like it wasn't out of nowhere that we inserted a rule about like, oh, but if she knows she loves him, then it'll be bad. It's like, oh, we're inserting this rule for no other reason than to later be like, but it doesn't matter for them. Whereas like, because they weren't yet in love in Wizard's First Rule, so it was already a will they or won't they. She's convinced they shouldn't at all love each other because like this is a big problem for confessors, and then like he's only just, you know, discovered magic, and then like we have this like prophecy about like her using the Kandar or something on, or that she would betray, or whatever the prophecy was.
Yeah.
And the way that all shook out, I was like, oh, okay, but it's like a cool reversal of what you thought would happen based on the prediction or prophecy. So it was like cool. Here it was just like, I'm so surprised that somehow either the rule wasn't what they thought it was, or they overcame it through love. Like, so shooketh.
I really think that ending probably suffered from being side by side with Abercrombie, because I think reading it with like less great
it was
books,
that
I had a
plus
better
like
time.
the ending being he basically sent people from the universe of these books into our universe at the end because they were magicless.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
And then Jensen was like, bye forever. And the guy who she's in love with, I guess, even though that was really not developed much, it was more like a you're better than the psycho I've been hanging out with, dude. Yeah. He's like, me too. She's like, are you sure? He's like, for sure. Z's love ya, bae. And they go off and live their human lives of no magic. Great.
I mean, I thought it was kind of funny because like it fits with his whole I'm not writing fantasy thing, because it's like, and this is the true origins of people on Earth, and they lost all the lessons that could have been learned from before.
I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that message, but
it seemed to me like it was like, I don't know. I just thought it was,
and the way that funny. This was like at the end too, when Richard's explaining all these things and about how like, oh well, the void the prophecy spoke of, well that's what this was that like the void was Richard like sending them into a world without magic, so like prophecies couldn't see it. And like that was like kind of clever that like, oh okay, so like it seemed really scary that the prophecy was like leading us to the creation of the void, but actually was just this, like that. Right. That makes sense. But there was something else which now I wish I could remember, but there was something else about how like they had to realize that, oh, it was about how Orden was created basically literally just so Richard could use Orden, where like it had to be a seeker of truth who could turn the blade white because only he would understand that like violence is right for justice sake, and that we're not killing because it's bad, it's right to kill. And it had to be a person that understood that would be able to use Orden. And I was just like,
well, and the whole thing of like the Confessor, like it's verified by the Confessor because of like the titles on the, I don't know, like that whole thing.
Well, those were all the decoys. Those that had that written.
No, which was kind of funny. He needed to mention a few more times Wizard was the first wizard born with both sides of a gift in over 3,000. Good point. I really wish he had hammered that home.
I didn't notice any nipple twists in this one. I might have just missed it, but I think we might have avoided that.
We might have. Let us know if we missed it.
I mean, we did get to enjoy Nikki getting assaulted, so yay for that. So fun. Very necessary.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, the more these books went on, I was like, can Nathan just be the Rawl that we read about? I like him so much more.
Like him. Nathan had it, then he was killed. Yeah. Hello.
That too, the fact that after all this time, everyone basically survives except the prelate needs to like have her lesson taught to her a second time, the same lesson she learned from Nathan, and then immediately die. I was like, well, why? Especially in a book series where like I don't feel like it's a book series that is like, hey, people die in war and sometimes it's random. It's not that kind of series. There's loopholes constantly for our main characters. So then like, So what is like symbolically significant, because that's the only kind of deaths you do, is like symbolically significant ones. It's never like that's how the world be, like with an Abercrombie book. So like why did she need to die? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just so Nathan can once again not have love.
I mean, nobody else gets love, really, but Richard and Kaylin most of the time.
It's disgusting. Well, and Jensen and Tom?
But they go to the other world. They're,
So each world gets one true love story.
Exactly. Only one
Okay.
per world. That's how it works.
Oh no, didn't at the end, someone hit it off with Addie? Was it Nathan? No. Someone hit it off with Addie.
I don't remember.
Like Izette heard about it secondhand. Like someone told him, they're like, oh yeah, such and such went over there and Addie really got on with him. And he's like, of course they did. She's great.
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, Friedrich, yeah.
Friedrich. There you go.
That's who. Which, like, that too. Okay, so I think I've mentioned this before, that it irritates me that like other people have lost their loves in this story, like Frederick, who was like so extremely devoted to his wife. And then like the story just carries on, and they're kind of sad about it, but we just move on because it's like it's not a big deal. But when like Kaylin or Richard are like even a little bit in danger, they're like, I cannot function. All the world must like grind to a halt until my love is restored to me. And I'm like,
right.
You guys, you don't like I'll give this kind of space to anyone else's love story. Like, I'm just sick of your love story being like earth-shatteringly important while everyone else is like, oh, I'm really sad for you that you lost your loved one, but move on now to your new happily ever after with a different person.
Yeah, I don't love how many of them how many of them have die off who are not Richard and Kaylin.
It's not even that they die off, it's that like that's not treated as the tragedy that even being separated is for Richard and Kaylin.
Is it okay to talk about I don't know what this means.
Do you know what this means? It could be a typo, so
okay.
Understand.
Feel free to elaborate. We're not sure what you're wanting to talk about. Yeah. I guess I was gonna say, I guess I did like that Richard wasn't necessarily the one to kill Jagang.
Who killed Jagang?
Didn't Nikki?
Did she? I don't disbelieve you. I just don't remember.
I think she did, and I feel like it was like at least some kind of payback for his assault.
Priscilla. I don't remember that. I wish I did. That's amazing.
That is honestly a great line. Yep. Wow.
Yeah, is the book called Confessor simply because they figure out that like Confessor being mentioned in the Book of Counted Shadows has to mean that it's a decoy, because confessors only were invented after the invention of Orden, so they can't possibly be referencing them in the Book of Counted Shadows. It's like that's what you named your book after?
No, I think it's also because Kaylin remembers that she's a confessor.
But she knew that she was a confessor. Like she was told that she was a confessor, like in Chainfire.
Did she? I don't know that she like knew what that meant though. Like I feel like that was kind of her reclaiming that identity. Because isn't it like it's like what's the first one?
Chainfire.
Oh yeah, because it's like Chainfire, Phantom, Confessor. It's like it's like the Chainfire makes her a phantom, but then she regains her identity as a confessor.
Except these like this trilogy, for a Kaylin-centric trilogy, ostensibly, I don't really feel like is very Kaylin-centric.
I mean,
she becomes a plot device. Yay for her. Love that for her.
Yeah.
And at the end, that's because I don't like Richard anymore, and so then like that's when I was talking about Wizard's First Rule, where like I do still think narratively it made more sense as like a twist that their love conquered all, while cheesy, like it still fit the story that we were being told as a fun surprise. But also I liked Richard at that point, and I liked Kaylin. So then being in love, I was like, oh yay! But now when she's like
series,
I mean, the idea that she would still love him after all this time, I'd be like, yeah, well, you don't throw away your whole lifetime together. But she just met him tabula rasa and was already in love with him when meeting this version of Richard, and I was like, girl, red flags. Do not be in love with him.
Yeah. No, Priscilla, same. Honestly, I agree with this comment. She never really did return to her full former self, which I really
Nikki
miss.
got more screen time and more badassery. Like, honestly,
Yeah,
all this plot line of Nikki being in love with Richard and like Prelate Annalena, like us hating her before she dies for being like, no, Nikki, you should be with Richard. You should be with Richard. I was like, honestly, Nikki deserves better than Richard, but like right now, Nikki is way cooler than Kaylin.
yeah. This is yes, Priscilla, I mean, you're not wrong. I agree. Why can't we have both? Yeah, and I also thought the whole thing of, like, Nikki being in love with Richard, like, I just found it annoying. It felt like, why did I give this 4 stars? I think just because I liked it better than the last
Okay,
one.
by the end of this evening, everybody collectively, let's help Bethany to lower her rating.
I probably will. It's probably more
Yes.
like a 3-star, but,
See, I initially gave it a 3-star, and then like literally 2 seconds after I did that, I was like, no, I'm so mad right now. Why did I give it 3 stars? I'll give it 2. You don't give a book that you're mad about 3 stars.
I'm not mad about it, but I just don't think it deserves 4. I feel like it's like a 3 for me.
But see,
Um,
I was mad about it. So
yeah,
I was like, why did I just like think that I was like, I suppose like by default it gets a 3 for like wrapping up this series. And I was like, no, but it wraps it up badly.
I
It
mean,
gets a
yeah,
2.
that's fair. That is a fair concern. Yeah, I'm gonna change my rating. Um, I
I just think back to like I don't it will not ruin retroactively my enjoyment of like Stone of Tears because I love Richard is peak awesome Richard. The Palace of the Prophets, Kaylin is awesome. Like it
yes.
is just the best.
It's yeah, I think that's, like, the
And they
highlight of
just
the series.
legitimately are into the same characters at this point. Like the Kaylin who is in Stone of Tears, the Richard who is in Stone of Tears would despise the Richard and Kaylin that are in these later
Yeah,
books.
yeah. I
Also,
think
we never got to see the Mud People again, did we? Did they appear? No, I don't think
not
so.
really, they got mentioned, but we never really saw them again.
I miss the days of Mud People slapping Richard with the temper. Like, yes, that was peak greatness for these books.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just it's alright. Like, it got better, but, mm, Priscilla gave it 3.5 to round it up. There were some fun yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair. There were, like, some fun parts. Like, I didn't have a terrible time with this one. Um, I really didn't like the last one. Yeah, I think Rachel gets more interesting in this book. I think you see a little more of her kinda growth arc, so I think that's a fair comment. 4 stars, okay, cool. Um, yeah, the whole thing of, like, her becoming a like, having oh, wait. Okay, this is, like, a weird thing. So, isn't it that, like, she
Who are we talking
is
about now?
Rachel? Like, is she somehow related to royalty or something?
Oh yeah, I was like I wasn't sure if I was meant to take that literally or not. And I also didn't care enough to like think about it beyond that.
No, I think she is. Like, I think, like, her whoever her parent was who abandoned her was actually royalty, and so she could be in line to be a queen and take over. I was like, "That's
Yay.
convoluted, I guess." And she has the ability to, like, do the drawing magic thing.
Yeah, which also like I don't know. After a while, because I mean, like a chosen one story often relies on like bloodlines being important because like that's how you're secretly a chosen one is that like you're the lost prince and that like you
Right,
were it's basically everything every like chosen one story is like some version of the King Arthur story where
right.
like yeah you didn't know that you were secretly like this other thing because you were kidnapped at birth or whatever. Harry Potter's got that going on, and a bunch of stories have that going on. That's what Richard's got going on. He's like born, he's like taken to secretly over here in obscurity. He's given a sword, which is like the magical Excalibur, and sure, whatever. But like the way that like you just bringing up Rachel being in line for the throne or whatever, the way that through 10 books we keep emphasizing the point of like your bloodline defining your worth
Right.
is gets really old, especially
Yeah,
when we're constantly talking about how it's your life, it's up to you to live it how you want to live it, be free, every man is free, every man should have the chance to be free, but your
except
bloodline is super important and some of us are definitely like more important than you, and that's just how the world based that it.
I mean,
It's
honestly,
like
yeah, it's like
okay.
the Rawls really matter because of their blood. Yeah. it
Which, like,
doesn't
obviously in
quite
a
work.
magic book, or a story about magic, like, some of that, like, I fully expect it. Again, like, the idea of, like, being born or thinking you're someone obscure and a nobody, but then you find out the dad you thought was your dad isn't because you're secretly the magical missing prince. Like, I mean, it's to be expected. And here and there
Yeah.
having some revelations of birth, or, like, again, the Raw line specifically having this, like, power against a gang, like, that makes sense because they, like, it's not even like someone else controlling your birth. It's like the Rawl family put this magic in place, and we're like, we're building this palace, we're setting this magic in place, we're creating this for our people. So, like, okay, like,
Right.
it makes sense that, like, they created this bloodline that does that. But it's just like throughout, like, the way that, like, it feels like who you were born into is the thing that defines your importance in this world. It gets very old.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially because it contrasts with the other messaging that he's trying to put in the books.
Which is
So,
why I'm like,
yeah,
so, like, what is the message of this book? What am I supposed to take away from this?
I don't
Other than that, like, killing can be good.
know.
Yay. I mean, it's funny, like, walking away from this series and walking away from First Law, you would think if you actually hadn't read them, but, you kind of read their blurbs and got their vibes from their covers and whatever, you'd be like, now, which of these series do you feel like you're going to walk away from feeling like the author's condoning violence? It's not the First Law series.
It is not.
Surprise.
Surprisingly, yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I sort of feel like if I like on future rereads, I don't know that I would go past Pillars of Creation.
But, like, I mean, so, like, going back to the condoning of violence thing, okay, so the way that he harps on it in these books, and, like, he really harps on it. It's not just like, I don't like this
It's
message. It's like,
a
not only do I,
it's
it's
like
like on
a
every
soapbox.
page.
Yeah, it's like
And
especially
it's
the
like
last several books. It's like a huge
and
soapbox
the
point.
ultimate conclusion of this series is Richard giving a speech about how the reason he's the chosen one is that he understands that violence is the answer. And it's like, Jesus
Right.
Christ. Hey. But, like, honestly, like, I'd be so curious because, like, we were saying how you said, like, that, like, Terry Goodkind discovered rugby or whatever around this time. But, like, there was such a shift in these books that it's not just like, oh, the signs were there and he just got worse over time. Like, no, there's the guy who wrote Stone of Tears is not the guy that wrote Confessor. And it makes me wonder because it becomes such a point, this thing about, like, just, to kill, to defend yourself, you shouldn't feel guilty about that. It's your right to defend yourself. He, like, says that so much to the point where I'm like, did you kill someone, Terry Goodkind, in defense of yourself? And the only way you got over that guilt was, like, by angrily being like, I was right to do it and I shouldn't feel guilty about that. Because, like, the way he says it over and over and over and over, it's like, are you trying to convince yourself? Is that
I
who,
mean
are you?
I guess I didn't take it that way. I mean, maybe, but like, um, I like because with given his political leanings and the fact that like one of the later books is dedicated to the CIA and stuff like that, I kind of suspect that like 9/11 was a turning point for him because a lot of this stuff was like when we were like doing war, like
But for that
early.
to be such a personal thing to him,
I
like,
mean,
something happened or he saw something or he experienced something, because the
but
way that this becomes harped on is like, it's not normal. It's not even just like, oh, that's this book's point. Like, it's like an obsessive point that he's
yeah,
making over and over, where it does feel very like you doth protest too much. Like, stop yelling so much about the fact that it's sometimes right to kill. It's like, okay, most people would agree with that. That's why, like, self-defense is a legitimate defense in a court of law, because, like, we
yeah.
all generally agree that, like, if someone's trying to kill you, you should be allowed to fight back, and if that results in them dying, like, you were protecting yourself. We all agree about that. So, like, why are you yelling about this so much? It's like, dude, are you is there something that we should know?
I mean, maybe I like my suspicion. Oh, thanks, Jessica. I mean, my suspicion is just like I mean, maybe could have something there. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a true crime documentary in a couple of years on
No,
Netflix.
like, did he, like, so if
But
9/11 is a turning point,
but
like, did
like
he have
no,
friends that were in the army? Like, like,
probably. I
something
mean,
about
he
this is
was
personal to him.
right. Yeah, but also, I mean, I think that like there's I don't know. Like I guess I just feel like there were a lot of people during that time period, especially with, like, the war things where it was a very people took it very personally and, like, got really angry about it. The people, like, there were big controversies over, like, are you, supporting the troops, supporting the war, or are
Yeah.
you not? I don't know, I guess it just wouldn't shock me given how political he is, um, that it
It
became
feels
a more
less like a
personal thing.
political grandstanding and more like something personal, which is again why like if he was he in the armed
Right.
forces? Did he have friends that were, or was he like did he have someone that
Or
died at
someone
the
that
hands of
that died in 9
terrorists
or
or
someone that died in 9/11.
something?
I mean, honestly, like, I feel like, yeah, that's entirely possible, but it feels like, yeah, angry and scared. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's I mean, that's, like, kinda yeah, on gun rights. I mean, that's fair. But that was my take on it just given the timing, Um, because there was also a lot of, like, criticism at the time that this was coming out of, like, the use of drone technology and stuff, especially as it related to, like, civilian casualties and stuff. Um, I don't know. I wonder. That's my theory. I don't know,
I'm
but
sure I don't doubt that that's part of it. I just feel like it's such a personal point with him that there's got to
yeah.
be more to it than simply I was an American when 9/11 happened and it bothered me.
Right,
You know, like
right.
it feels like it's deeper than that for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. I think it is, like, does feel really personal to him. I just don't know exactly what, but I suspect given the timing of everything in the arc of these books that he maybe got kinda more politically radicalized in that
Something happened.
vein. Yeah, that's interesting.
Which again, there's a part now it's coming back to me that I remember also really irritated me was and I don't oh my god, I don't remember
Jessica,
where this is
yeah,
taking place in the book.
this is accurate.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
But
people
in
were
the book
like
there's a
that.
point where I think Jigang is saying that he's talking about what message he's sent around about what Richard's doing, or he's saying what he will say about what Richard was doing, something about that. And Richard like saying how like he can't say those that he's afraid of him because like what they stand for is right and just, and no one could like decry anything that they're doing because what they're doing is right. And like there was this like whole like battle of ideals between them, and I was like, it's just so hard to read this because like the self righteousness of it is just like it's just so hard to swallow. Like the only times in books where like self-righteousness like that feels like you can get away with it is if it is like a very Lord of the Ringsy fairy tale, you know, like the good must triumph over the evil and we have like brave and noble knights and it's like, you know, it's very that, but these
Yeah.
books aren't like that. And so for you, I'm accustomed to more modern fantasy. If we're not doing that, if this is not the Chronicles of Prydain, if this is not Lord of the Rings, if we're doing more like humans in situations that are hard, there's been SA, you don't get that in Lord of the Rings. Like, you know, there's been a lot of like messy human stuff presented in these books. And to be so black and white about this stuff and to say that, like, I kill, but when I kill, it's right. When you kill, it's wrong. And
Yeah.
you know why it's right when I do it because I'm me and I know best because I'm the motherfucking seeker of truth. It's like, am I actually supposed to side with that? Because like everyone thinks that they're. I mean, that it would be so interesting if this book was about how Richard and Jagang are both insane because they both think they're right to do what they're doing, and neither is. But everyone's the hero of their own story. That's what I got out of this series.
I mean, yeah, I think that would be interesting, but he doesn't I don't know. I guess, in to, like, the point earlier, I did grow up in communities around 9/11 where people had those kinds of more personal reactions with, like, anger and fear and, like so I don't know, I guess it, like, doesn't feel far-fetched to me because I experienced seeing that in people around me during that time
But they
period.
didn't write like 10-book series where they wrote thousands of words talking about this.
No,
Made their
they
King
had other
Arthur
they
stand-in
had other
talk about
outlets,
the
I
greatness
guess.
of it. I mean, because like I just think about the symbolism of the sword turning white and what that used to
Yeah,
mean in these books and what it means now. Like
yeah.
him talking about being able to turn the sword white in in the ending of Confessor, being like that's why he was the one that could control Orden because he understood. And it's like, okay, but that's not what it meant back when you did it. the idea of turning the sword white and killing Denna, like, and the pain that would cause you to be able to do it, and that's why he didn't want to have to turn the sword white, because it hurts you to do it. And this like this really nuanced conversation that used to happen in these books about what it means to kill and how using the sword will hurt you, because to kill even righteously does hurt you. And like the way that he used to balance the killing with being a vegetarian. And then we were like, I don't have to balance it. I don't have to be vegetarian. I can kill anybody all the time. And because I'm the seeker of truth and I know what's best, and I will kill everybody, women and children too, and give me a meat sandwich. And it's just like, what?
Yeah. Yep. No, it definitely takes a significant turn ideologically, and it's not great. I think reading so far in the series, I better understand why there are people who have such issues with it, because I'm like,
But I
yeah,
think
it
a lot
does
of people who have
eventually.
issues with it have only read Wizard's First Rule. Like most
That's
people
probably,
who decry it, they did not get this far in the series.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Wow, Jessica. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people were really scared. It was a big
If people still
event.
are.
Yeah. That's true.
Some people are more scared now.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else major I wanted to talk about. I feel like also this is going well. We're at like almost 40 minutes. I wasn't sure how long my voice would last, but it's like going all right. So
Well, I'm just over here yelling, and you can just chime in with,
yeah, good point. Good point. Oh gosh.
I mean, obviously, yeah, it did really rough, because he's been doing this over the course of the last few books. And the fact that this conclusion not only continued that trend, but really hammered it home the way that it did, where his
Yeah.
entire final like speech about the end of this book, which is just also badly written because of the way it's tying up loose ends in like an absolute like fire hose of information, where you're like, could we not have spread this out? Like, why we're doing all of this right now? The way that we like tie it up with insane plot conveniences and end it with like, I was right. I am always right. No one is righter than I am. I am the seeker of truth. Like, what is that as a message to the end of your books? What am I supposed to take away from that?
Yeah.
It's so empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not great.
Be the seeker of truth. Got it.
Yes, I like that Kara got married. I just think it's interesting that, like, when we were doing our last live show, people were like, "It's so worth it, like, the payoff is so good," and I'm
That
like,
also is probably why I'm so upset, where I was like, this is the payoff that I was
yeah.
supposed to be happy about.
I mean, like, there is payoff, like, I do feel like, okay, I got, like, a somewhat satisfying payoff to slogging through the last book, but it's still not as good as previous stuff in the series.
Nothing will ever be as good as Stone of Tears.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Twas
I
the
really
peak.
hated it.
Yeah.
Richard has not been Richard to me in a very long time.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
just
it's
a
hard
different
when, like,
person.
you no longer like the hero of the series.
But it's not okay, but that's not even a problem for me if it felt like the author was trying to do that, you know? Like,
Right.
people complain that the second trilogy of Red Rising, which I know you haven't read yet, and this isn't spoilery, but people complain that they don't like Darrow, and therefore they don't like the books anymore. And I'm
Mhm.
like, but I think it's great the way that he's written Darrow as like believably years on, like, because he wouldn't be the same person. And he's not written in a way where, like, with these books where I'm like, I suddenly Pierce Brown has changed and this is what he thinks is awesome now and we don't like it. Like, no, like, he's written Darrow as a flawed character who has a lot of those flaws get worse over time. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's so well done. And like, yeah, it's painful to see heroes who, I mean, they're not fallen. He's not fallen, but like, they're not, necessarily doing better, or like they aren't as, smelling like daisies as they used to be, because like that's realistic and that's good writing.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. But like, if that's what we were doing with this series again, we're like Richard, if that's what we were doing, we're like Richard used to be so great, and then he like went down this dark path and basically became Jigang, just like, the equal and opposite force, but just as bad, just on the other extreme. I'd be like, that's great writing. That's why these books are like so close to being brilliant. It's just we need the author to not think this is okay. And
Yeah.
then we would have a great book series.
Yeah.
Watching the fall of a hero, let's do it forever. That's brilliant. Someone else take this series and rewrite it that way. Also, make Druffin be good and gay. Those are my edits.
That's fair. That's fair. Yes, Priscilla, not 11 books backlog of payoff. Yeah. Yeah. Same. Yeah, Jigang has just been around for so freaking long. I'm like, dude, you should have died a long time ago.
Or evolved into something different in terms of an antagonist, because
Yeah.
Jigang also didn't change. Like, if Jigang became a different person in response to Richard becoming a different person and was adapting his strategy, but it was always just the like, Jigang has an army that is eternal and
Yeah.
Jigang is creepy. And it's like, he's been creepy with a huge army for 10 books. Like, I
Yeah.
really don't care. I don't think
Yeah.
it's threatening.
Priscilla, I do agree with this actually, that the most Richardy moment was him becoming a beloved captain of a sports team and making new
Yes, that was the
I
one
mean, that was
glimmer of like,
yeah.
okay, this is what Richard would do.
Yeah. Because that was totally like, yep. Yeah.
I miss Richard.
Yeah. And just
I
go
miss
back and
Kaylin.
reread Stone of Tears.
And I used to feel that I miss the feeling of like when Richard would say how proud he was of his grandson. I used to be like, hell yeah. And now I'm just like, God, why? You're proud of this?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. There is no subtlety.
Which is alarming when you realize what it is you're supposed to be rooting for, because it's not subtle.
Yeah.
What we're supposed to be cheering for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not cheering for that. Sorry.
Well.
He's got some thoughts, this guy who looks like a karate villain.
He really does.
Looks like Cobra Kai, his nemesis.
Anything else on Confessor?
I feel like I need a palate cleanser of early Sword of Truth. Like, as bitter as this has made me, and I do genuinely remember enjoying Stone of Tears, it hasn't made me go, I guess they were all crap. No, I remember when they were not crap. So
Yeah.
like they are just too different. It's kind of, you know how, I mean, I've said this before about other things too, but like how sometimes there's an adaptation and a book and they're so wildly different, but they could also be a situation where you're like, you think the adaptation is a good thing by itself, even if it's so different from the book that you can't really think of them as the same thing. So like, okay, I don't think this is good, but like they're so different that I don't think of them as the same story. Like the Sword of Truth books were the first few, and whatever this
Right.
is that came after, it's like a ghostwriter came in and wrote it. I mean, we did joke about Terry Goodkind being a ghost living in my apartment, but like I don't mean that as a ghostwriter.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, they do dramatically change, the characters change, and they are not enjoyable in the same way. So yeah, I'll probably just stick with earlier books. Stone of Tears, yeah, it's a good one.
It has
Let's
Warren,
hope.
it has Nathan, it has Gratch, it has the sisters,
Yeah,
it has Kaylin being badass, it has Richard being like, I don't know, told off and
yeah,
him being wrong.
yep, yep, it's good. I am curious to see how Dead of Bones goes because it's a prequel.
Yeah, so it can't have a love story with Richard and Kaylin.
It's
Is it about
Zed.
Magnus Eris?
It's
Oh,
about Zed and his like when
because
he's
we
young.
did harp a bit on Magnus Eris's love story in these books too. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised
No,
that's not what the prequel is.
it's Zed and his wife's story, I think.
Oh, the one that got assaulted by Dark and Rawl.
Yeah.
Hope that's in the book. Or no, I guess it was his daughter that got assaulted.
It was his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also fun.
I think this is like a young Zed and his wife is what it looks like. Jessica says Dead of Bones is so good. So we will.
It can't be worse than Confessor. I guess it could, but when did he write it? Did he write it after Confessor?
I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, someone says I think the first Confessor is Magda's story. Okay. Good to know.
I mean, she was the first confessor, so that checks out.
She was. Okay, so Den of Bones came out in 1998.
Oh, that is quite early.
That is early.
Confessor was 2007, so it should be still Terry Goodkind.
It should still be pretty good. Yeah, it came out the same year as Temple of the Winds. So
it might be a bit kinky. There might be some kinky fuckery.
It might.
But yeah, I was just saying that I needed a Sword of Truth palette cleanser that was Sword of Truth. So that might be it. That might be just what the doctor ordered.
Let's hope. Yeah, I don't know when the live show for that is going to be because of the holidays.
On New Year's Eve.
Oh, man. Well, and then this one was late too, so it'll probably be, I don't know.
It will be when it will be.
It will be when it will be. Maybe December, January 6th.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Because I'm going to be traveling, so I can't really do like the end of December.
Well, not with that attitude. You can stream from your hotel room.
I won't
your
have
iPad up on the console.
I don't have an iPad. I won't work. I'll just have my cell phone.
One. Perfect.
And we're going to be at my in-laws' house.
They have a computer?
Not really, barely.
Bring your own webcam, stick it on, ready to go.
Oh my god. I don't think so.
There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Be more like Richard.
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's probably going to have to be early January, but that's all right. I almost didn't make this one. Yeah. Well, at least this one is short. It's a novella, so it shouldn't take too long to read.
Yeah, also Confessor was just so long.
It was long.
It did not. It was so long, and yet we rushed the ending. It's like, what? Why? Yeah, you didn't learn how to pace after 11 books.
I mean, no. Yeah, this one is like 160 pages, so
doable.
Should be very doable. Yep. All right.
Are you prepared to dress as Faye in January?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm not currently, but I will be by.
I am. As soon as we decided that, I was like, all right.
It's gonna be fun. I gotta like order ears or something and figure out what I'm gonna wear. Yes, a lot of repetition. And if you're not sure what we're talking about, our Blades and Bodice Rippers book club meets quarterly, and we are doing a pre-Tolkien fantasy involving Fae on Leanna's channel.
But we've also, more importantly, we've decided that our book club now always dresses up.
Yes.
That's more significant than the fact that we're reading a pre-Tolkienian fantasy. Like, okay, you're reading a fantasy that's pre-Tolkien. Why does that mean you got to buy ears?
Because it's always going to be a dress-up party now. It's going to be fun.
It's always going to be a dress-up party.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun. And we start our Witcher read-along.
We do. Should we dress up for that too?
For the podcast.
I'll get a white wig and a white beard and look like Father Christmas, but with a sword. They should be cheap after Christmas too, white beards.
That's true.
I just get a Christmas one and then like take my flat iron and flat iron the curls out of the Christmas beard because Geralt doesn't have a curly beard. And yeah.
I just want like a cloak and a sword. That'd be good. Be fun.
It could be just vaguely any fantasy.
Yeah, you know. Yes, it is Lead in the Mist.
By Hope Mirrorless.
Yes. I have my copy ready to go.
I do too.
It should be fun.
We certainly, at least the dressing up will be fun, even if the book's terrible.
Yeah.
But it should be good.
Let's hope the book is good. We'll see.
It'll be better than Confessor. That's just my answer to everything now.
It probably will be.
And it's probably going to be true for most things. Not all.
Yeah.
Because we have some super insanely bad books out there, but.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I probably have watched January.
Lead in the Mist is short too, so.
Yeah, it's not
there
too
is
long.
that.
Oh my gosh, 4 new buddy reads. Wow. I'm guessing this is your Discord.
Yeah, I literally just because I was talking to my patrons about how many read-alongs and buddy reads go on in my Discord on a regular basis, and
Mhm.
there's a Mitchell and Webb sketch that's like him making fun of like how TV stations like promote soccer, well, football because he's in Britain, and about how they're aggressively promoting every single match every single week, and how there's so many matches that are so important, they're going on all the time, and it's dizzying, endless, year long, eternal, every single match. It will never end. There's everything to play for and forever to play it in. And I was like, that's basically the same energy as the amount of read-alongs and buddy reads going on here. Endless, year long, forever.
That's great.
Constant.
Awesome. Oh, not to add to your plate for next year, but,
Perfect.
I was on a live stream and people were, like, talking about wanting to do a Furyborn read-along because I never actually finished the series.
I didn't either because I heard atrocious things about the later installments. So I was like,
I
I want to
really
preserve my memory of Furyborn
uh,
being amazing.
I really
But I
liked
could
book
be
2, but,
persuaded.
well, if
I
you wanna
heard
join
there's
us.
I don't know if it's spoilery to say this, although I know about it and I haven't read it, but that there's a time travel element that's handled extremely poorly
In Furyborn?
in the second one.
Uh, I don't know. I really enjoyed the second one. If I'm enjoying other things I'm less bothered by. I don't remember, it's been a while. I need to read book 3, though. Wow, that's a lot. That's too much. Oh my gosh, I cannot do 10 in a month.
I don't do that many.
Yeah.
I'm a very
We're
don't tell me
doing
what to do kind of person.
oh my gosh. I love how y'all are doing all there's you guys have all these read-alongs, and then we're doing uh, like a readathon. I'm
I hate
bringing back, like, a
readathons.
patron version of, the Get Shit Done readathon.
Well, you get shit done. That's the way to start
You
the new
do.
year. I'm assuming it's like a New Year's thing.
It's yeah, like a New Year's thing. It should be fun.
Start the
Once my
year off
voice is
right.
back, I need to make an announcement video
That's one
about
of the
it.
things on your list to get done is getting your voice back.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Oh, man. Yes, we are starting with The Last Wish for The Witcher.
Which is also short.
Yes,
Blood in the
it
Mist
is.
is short. The Last Wish is short. Dead of
Mhm.
Bones, I know it's December, but it's also short.
Yep. Yep, yep. Yeah, Priscilla, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
I get to. Oh, lucky me.
What is Siegfried's daughter?
That's what Urza apparently is obsessed with and has wanted me to read since forever, and it finally won the poll, so I'm reading it now. It better be
Okay.
good, Urza. No pressure.
Good luck. Yeah, I think my, patron vlog pick this month is Ninth Rain, which I'm excited because 'cause I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I'm mad though because I'm subscribed to the Broken Binding, and they had a printing issue with the third book in that series. So I'm one of the people that hasn't gotten their copy, and it's been like 8 months. And they just sent another update email saying the second printing they received, because the problem was that the printing of that third book was crappy, and they were like, "This is literally so bad that we cannot give this out to people. It needs to be reprinted." And they got the second printing, and it was worse. So they're like, well, we got the second printing, but it's worse. So if you want a refund, we'll refund you, or we're going to try to reprint them properly. So if you want to keep waiting, let us know. And I was like, I'll keep waiting. I waited this long. But like, I was going to do like that series back to back, but they're hard to get. And I want to
Well,
finish my
they're
set.
publishing them next year in the US. The first one's coming out in, like,
I
January or
want my
February.
broken binding edition
Well,
with the
okay then.
sprayed pages.
Okay then. Fair. January Patreon, I don't know who you're asking. Mine is Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Do you guys
We
have
only
a
barely started deciding this, so it is
yeah,
not known yet.
yeah, because I always, like, put up polls way ahead of time for people who need, like, libraries and
I
stuff, but
put up
yeah,
the poll for January like 2 days ago.
cool. I already have February planned out, so, like,
Jesus, no.
that's,
Live in the
alright.
moment, baby.
Not me. I can't do that. But yeah, we're doing Daughter of the Moon Goddess in January, which should be fun.
I think it's the author of The Sheep Farmer's Daughter.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Sheep Farmer's Daughter is the first book in the Deed of Paxenarian, which you might have heard of. It's better known as its series name.
Okay.
All right. It's been compared to Guns at the Dawn. Which you liked. You liked Guns at the Dawn.
I did like it. I just didn't. I feel like I liked it the least of all of us, but I did like it.
Why are we friends?
I don't know.
Are you watching Andor, Miss I Like Star Wars?
No, because I have had trouble with some of the Star Wars shows, but I have.
But the only good one is Andor.
That's what I'm hearing. But that's also what everybody said about the show that I controversially disliked.
But that was like the first show they did.
Yeah, that's true.
So like Andor is basically getting so poor viewership because everyone is saying Star Wars shows are bad. And they're not wrong. Star Wars shows are bad. But now Andor, the good one, is being punished for the badness of the previous ones.
I don't know. Priscilla says the first episode is kind of slow.
Well, everyone agrees the first episode is kind of slow. So whatever. If the worst part about a show is that the first episode is kind of slow and that's the worst thing people have to say about it.
Well, luckily, I did just finish watching season 3 of Love is Blind, so I might have an opening for Andor.
Can't believe that was taking your time instead of Andor. Andor is the best thing that Disney Star Wars has done.
Listen.
Possibly at all.
There has been so much drama after, like, I had to catch up because all the they were like on TikTok because one of the people, it came out later, like, had been cheating with all these women. Anyway, I was like, oh, you know, I
am Jack's complete lack of surprise. But you don't like Mandalorian because it's just like a crime of the week Western. Whereas what you like is politics, and Andor is like 99% politics.
Okay. All right. I will watch Andor. Thank you, Leanna.
Which is the other. So those are the reasons people aren't watching Andor. The shows before it sucked, so people gave up. But also the shows before had like name recognition. It had, you know, like Luke Skywalker in it. It had Obi-Wan Kenobi in it. It had Boba Fett in it. Andor's like, who's that? They're like, are there any cameos in it of people I do know? Is Darth Vader in it? No. Don't care. So because it's all just new characters, except for Andor, who we kind of know, and it's all politics all the time. Like people are like, okay,
I gotta watch it because I do
good.
Like I really like all politics all the time, so that
it's all politics all the time.
That is
like I frequently say that it's the Game of Thrones of Star Wars, without any of the gratuitous sex and violence.
Okay, well that is a strong selling point, so we will start on it. Thank you.
But yeah, the first episode is slow. That's just the truth.
Yes, Love is Blind is great. And it is such amazing drama. Honestly, it is. It's great.
Well, there's a lot of drama in Andor.
Okay, good. I will check that out as well.
Also, it has Andy Serkis in it.
He's good. I like him.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. Okay, I think my my energy and voice are like taking.
You gotta go watch Andor. I get it.
I gotta watch Andor. I mean, like clearly, but also I'm pretty impressed that I made it an hour because I didn't think I could make it an hour. So
you did.
Yay.
Okay, they're actually kind of yes.
Oh, well, there you go, Priscilla. Apparently, maybe there is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they need to stop making legacy characters the center of the shows because it's not good and they're just ruining them.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll probably be back early January to discuss Den of Bones if you want to join us to finish off the end of this lengthy Terry Goodkind project. That was
the saga is almost at an end.
The saga is nearly at its end. It has been a journey. So thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great week. And I will I love it. It's like, that's what they should promo, put that in the
I
promos.
feel like that would be very bad advertising because if that's what you're watching it for, you'll be like, "This show is all politics. Where are the cheating lovers?"
That I was promised. Oh my god. Yeah. I will also be back on here later this week when they announce the Goodreads Choice Awards winners. So that's always a fun time. Stay tuned. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks. Bye.